simanyi oba mukyala Wangadya mwerabize oba mukoowu oba yeetaaga buyambi ki, naye ndowooza mukazi wattu tusobola omusaasira naye ng'ali mu busoberwa nga ne ansa ze tumubuuza tazirina. Nze ndowooza kiri eri bakulembeze okuteekawo pressure emala eri gavumenti eno ebuulire eggwanga ekituufu kiki ekyaliwo. Oba oli awo ekiseera kituuse okuwaliza gavumenti eno bukyalubanga lwa mmindi eyogereko ekintu kimu nga kyamazima. Eggwanga lino litayige kwogera mazima ku nsonga enkulu. Tujja kuteekawo embeera ey'abantu okwewerera bannaabwe, ebyobufuzi eby'okuwoolera eggwanga. Wakati weebuuza famire ez'abantu abo ababuzibwawo nga nakyokeddembe ly'obuntu tekayina ntengeneze kukyogerako. Tuzigambe tutya nga abakulembeze nti twaliwo ne tutya ne tubulwa answers, ensonga eyo nkulu. Ekyokubiri, tukimanyi bulungi nnyo nti amakomera g'abasirikale military detentions, endowooza olwaleero bafunye ekifaananyi kye tubasuubiramu nga komiti nti tugamba bugambi nagenda military detention nga tusobola tuwula ki kiwasangayo. Ndowooza omulimu bagukola mu ngeri ya kibogwe. Bwe babanga ddala baagala bannayuganda baddemu bafune essuubi mu mulimo gwabwe, tubabulidde ekyokukola.
Tuwa obweyamu nti okulonda okwo kujja kuba kwa mirembe. Ffe tujja kukola omulimu gwaffe okugezaako okutangira obumenyi bw'amateeka nga tukolaganira wamu n'ebitongole ebikuumaddembe, kubanga tetukkiriza nti ebitongole bye bitulugunya abantu oba bye bimenya amateeka, naye abantu mu ebyo ebitongole be bamenya amateeka. Y'ensonga lwaki tugenda kubavunaana abo abemulugunyibwako.
This commission, even if you were to budget only for complaints management only, the public would be very comforted and satisfied. Why these days your commission, particularly your commission, is making meager awards to victims of human rights violations? Meager awards. Because by this simple calculation means these 16 on average each received 30 million on average. But you are talking about 30 million, and what are the human rights violations? In your own document, you are talking about torture. So somebody is tortured, comes before a tribunal and is awarded 30 million on torture. Somebody is you even talk about denial of right to life in your own document, and you're awarding 30 million. Right to security, and you're awarding 30 million. Aren't you condoning human rights violations by these meager awards? Somebody has been tortured and you are giving them, and I'm just making an average, but I know for sure that these days you are awarding 5 million shillings, 7 million shillings over human rights violations. This is really, ridiculous. What stops you from making an award of 100 million, of 200 million? And whether I am saying this, Chair, that I know that this commission has been making awards commensurate with the violations. I know.
Your performance as a commission answers to these targets which the Constitution set you to achieve. Do you think the people of Uganda you are serving, and I repeat, do you think the people of Uganda you are serving are happy with your performance? Mark yourselves. You see, it is not what you say or you tell us. It is what you do. I repeat this. It's not what you say, what you claim to be, but what you actually do. That is the most and critical issue. I don't know, Madam Chairperson. There was a lady, I was watching TV, she's your staff, who was in Kawempe. Is she in this room? The one you deployed who was in Kawempe. She was on TV. Is she in this room? When all of us were seeing brutalities on TV. She was on the very TV thing saying everything is moving smoothly. I almost froze, Madam Chairperson. You see, just then she should have said it. Everybody was like hiding in shame because of what was going on in Kawempe. And she was on TV saying, no, everything has moved on smoothly and so on. And by the way, what we observed as public in Kawempe was not only on the election day. It had been building up over some time. The people of Uganda expected at that time your voice. They did. They expected your voice. And you were quiet. You only came in at the end with some sort of statement. Actually, in English, we call it postmortem. Instead of like, when these things were happening, you should have moved in and talked to the stakeholders that is not what you expect the process to be. Honorable Simeo, you've been in this house, and my two colleagues here, you've been here. My old girl, we were in law school, we were taught fairness. That's what we are taught. We are taught the law to observe the law. How do you go and justify and portray a rosy picture when things are not going well?
In this current financial year, there is zero visit to the military detention facility. I am raising this because most of the detentions and forced disappearances, the abductions, the arrest, by whatever name, has been done by the military. And many of those have happened here in the center, in Buganda. I find it surprising that the commission chose now to go to Gulu, to go and visit the detention facility in Gulu, yet here, which is the epicenter of all these detentions, it's here in Buganda, here in Central, you did not visit. And if you look at the cases that are going, the people who are being taken to court and others are being dumped, found in many places, they have been tortured. Would we have an explanation why the commission all of a sudden found it so convenient to run away from the core issue of visiting the military detention centers here? The second issue is the choice of indicators in the ministerial policy statements. Many of the indicators are pointing to results outside the core mandate of the Uganda Human Rights Commission. If you look at them, the percentages are about procuring furniture, chairs, procuring that and this and that. They are not speaking to the results out of your constitutional mandate, which is to guarantee the human rights of Ugandans using the different mechanisms available. For example, there is no indicator on the percentage or number of persons released from detention. Because under the Constitution and the attendant laws, you have powers to visit these detention centers. If you find someone is unduly detained, you can order for them to be released. You do not indicate that anywhere in your document here. You do not even indicate the ones you are going to push for them to access justice. So I'm really disappointed to that effect that you chose to speak on so many other things.
2.973 billion, having increased it from Uganda shillings 30.78 billion the previous year. Uganda shillings 15.185 billion has been allocated for non-wage recurrent expenditure, a drop from 17.176 billion in the financial year 24-25. Salary allocation will remain the same at Uganda shillings 11.021 billion. Development expenditure has been increased from Uganda shillings 2.582 billion in financial year 24-25 to Uganda shillings 6.766 billion. Table 16 provides a summary of the UHRC budget for financial year 2025-2026. Allocations to core functions of the Commission. The Commission has allocated Uganda shillings 342 million for complaints management, Uganda shillings 738 million for monitoring government compliance with human rights standards and inspections of detention facilities, and 770 million shillings for research and civic education. Table 17 provides the allocations to the core functions of the Commission. Efforts to follow up recommendations of Parliament. Parliament made 3 recommendations on additional wage, non-wage, and acquisition of transport equipment. We followed up these recommendations, and Table 18 provides an update on the actions taken by the Commission. Recommendations of Parliament. The committee recommended an additional Uganda shillings 24.53 billion to the non-wage recurrent during the financial year 25-26 to undertake countrywide civic and values education. I wrote a letter dated 10th December 2024 to the Minister of Finance requesting for stepping up the budget. The letter is attached to this presentation. Parliament recommended that government provides 19.59 billion shillings for the financial year 25-26 to enhance staff salary to a similar level of its counterparts in sister institutions. The Commission's request for additional salary and attendant statutory costs was Uganda shillings 11.508 billion. Chairman, an additional funding of 2 billion shillings was provided by the Ministry of Finance for salary enhancement. A cabinet memorandum on a proposal for salary enhancement for the chairperson, members, and staff has been prepared and submitted to the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. Again, the letter is attached. Parliament recommended Uganda shillings 3.38 billion be provided during financial year 25-26 to the Commission to acquire transport equipment to help us execute our mandate. From the development grant allocation for this year, UHRC has budgeted for Uganda shillings 3.385 billion for procurement of light vehicles. On 24th March this year, I wrote a letter to the Ministry of Public Service for a waiver and authorization to procure light vehicles. The Minister responded in the affirmative. The letter is attached, Chairman. Funding gaps. Uganda will hold general elections for President, Parliament, and local councils next year, and activities preceding these elections have already commenced. Due to increased demand for the services of the Commission to contribute towards a peaceful electoral process, we have made a special budget request to the Ministry of Finance. As indicated in Table 19, Mr. Chairman, then citizen participation in democratic processes. The Commission has prioritized and budgeted for key initiatives to enhance election management and civic engagement ahead of the 2026 general elections. These include training staff on election monitoring, training electoral officials and security agents on elections and human rights, and establishing and equipping a situation room at the Commission to monitor the electoral process. Additionally, we will conduct election monitoring during the 2026 general elections. To enhance civic awareness and stakeholder engagement, we have allocated resources for community barazas across the country in all the 12 regional offices, radio and television talk shows, establishment of human rights and peace clubs in secondary schools, national and regional dialogues with the key stakeholders, including political parties, elders, and cultural leaders, and a national symposium with the political parties. Furthermore, the development of support messages will reinforce public awareness on electoral processes and human rights. These interventions, Chairman, are expected to increase citizen participation in democratic processes, contributing to regular, free, and fair elections, and ultimately strengthening democracy in Uganda. To enhance compliance with and implementation of the Uganda Bill of Rights, we have prioritized and budgeted for capacity building workshops, stakeholder meetings, and barazas to mainstream the human rights-based approach and empower rights holders to demand human rights-based approach integration in government programs. We will develop an HRBA assessment tool and conduct assessments in MDS